following episode of Rerez was recorded while Shane had a cold. We apologize if you're not okay with the fact that his nose clearly sounds like it was stuffed with mucus. Enjoy!
When I was a kid, I got the chance to play a game called North and South for the NES. It's a pretty cool game that takes elements of Risk and mixes in little mini-games. While the game wasn't limited to or originally released on the NES, that's the version that I was most familiar with growing up. However, there was a DOS version I would play a few years later on the PC, and a far better version with enhanced graphics and sound effects that was released for the Amiga. For years now, the Amiga version was pretty much the best version of North and South you could play, but I think that's changed with the release of the Bluecoats North vs. South from Microids on iOS, Mac, and PC. The original North and South game was based off of a Franco-Belgian comic called Les Toniques Bleus, which is French for the Bluecoats. The original comic follows two American cavalrymen, Sergeant Cornelius M. Chesterfield and Corporal Blutch, who are in the middle of the American Civil War. The comics take a humorous approach to the war, and this style is present in the games as well. In fact, both of the main characters can be seen on the title screen of pretty much every version of the original 1989 game. The latest release on PC, Mac, and iOS has the main characters spotted throughout. The version I picked up is the iOS release that I played on the iPad, but this exact version was released on Windows and Mac as well, just using a mouse. The game is every bit as entertaining as the original. You begin by choosing which side to fight for, moving armies from state to state, and entering skirmishes and battles. Your only real goal is to eliminate the opposing army, but it's easier said than done. While I personally have a fondness for the NES version I played all those years ago, this remastered version has made a fine showing here. The improved visuals and cartoon style look incredibly well produced, while the sound effects and music have also been modernized and altered, giving the game a larger, more epic feel. While one would expect the gameplay to have aged, the heart of the game's Risk-like strategy elements remain solid. The battle sequences have remained largely untouched, and there's a slight spotty response to your units on the field on the iOS version. Your units don't always completely respond to your commands. But the minigame sequences that consisted of taking over a fort and holding up a train have all been altered, and it's for the better. Now, attacking and defending forts plays out in a shooting sequence that works very well on the iPad's touchscreen, and the train sequence blends shooting and object dodging if you're an attacker, and a game of throwing units from your train at your rival if you're a defender. All of North and South's original options and settings are intact, like storms that prevent an army from moving, reinforcement troops coming in by boat, and Native American and Mexican surprise attacks are still in this version, as is the ability to change the year of the Civil War to present alternate scenarios to the start of the game to create a bit more of a challenge and variation, making the game far more fun to replay. Also, with the inclusion of multiplayer, you can play with friends through one device, removing the mini-games and leaving the battles mostly up to chance, or you can play the multiplayer in what would probably be the preferred method, using two devices, keeping the mini-games and battles, but making them multiplayer. The Bluecoats North vs. South is a fantastic game on the iOS, and if you're a strategy fan like I am, this is a title you simply shouldn't miss.